Hello everyone. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Thank you. Chicago Med Season 10 Episode 5 sees the threat against Goodwin elevating to a concerning level as Halloween wreaks havoc on the EDCHICA Joe MEDS Epathamerkerson as Sharon Goodwin. Ever since Goodwin received a death threat, we've been worried about the head of Executive Director of Patient and Medical Services at Med, and the 5th episode of Chicago Med's 10th season saw that threat becoming very real. Upon arriving home after a day of work, Goodwin gets ready to pour herself a glass of wine when she hears a noise from upstairs in her home. She goes to leave after calling out to make sure the would-be intruder and prepares to leave the house, which is when she's surprised by a masked figure outside her door and quickly pepper sprays him. Only it turns out it was a neighborhood teen just looking to trick or treat. Chicago PD does a sweep of her house, but their sweep turns up empty, but Goodwin is convinced there was someone in the house. While no one was found at the house, PD offers to put a unit outside her house to watch her. Following a night at the hospital, Goodwin returns home and notices her neighbor has a doorbell camera. She asks if she could send her the footage, and when she looks into the video, she notices that someone was in fact in her house. Who is this figure, and why are they after her? We're going to have to wait to see, but it's clear the threat against Goodwin is very much real and of concern. Dr. Charles sees a psych patient who attempts to break out of the hospital to make it to a custody hearing. He's convinced he needs to put the patient back on a PIS hold, but Jackie thinks he's telling the truth about wanting to make the court appearance so that he doesn't lose his daughter, and calls in Dr. Cuevas to get a second option, which Dr. Charles is not at all happy about. Later, the patient has a bit of an episode after being treated for his asthma, and Jackie apologizes to Dr. Charles as she says he was right. The man is mentally unwell. However, now it's Dr. Charles who isn't sure about the patient's original diagnosis. In talking with the patient, Dr. Charles finds that the patient isn't mentally unstable, but rather is suffering from a medication overdose triggered by the use of a combination of his asthma medication and nasal spray. Elsewhere, Asher helps treat a pregnant woman who comes into the ED hoping to be seen via the hospital clinic, which is not open, but Asher pushes to make sure she gets treatment regardless. The woman tells Maggie that she didn't take care of herself when she was pregnant with her son, and it seems she blames herself for her son having autism. When listening to the ultrasound, Asher picks up on something and orders some extra tests, which confirm there is a fetal heart block. While Asher and Maggie help treat the patient, her son slips away, and the overstimulation of being in the heart of the ED causes the young boy all she can to calm the boy. But it's Lennox who ends up helping the boy through his episode. It's a moment that allows us to see a different side of Lennox, including her inability to take praise that comes from Maggie and Asher after witnessing her actions. After discharging the patient, Goodwin proposes a mobile clinic that would allow Asher to go to the pregnant women in the city who can't get to the hospital, hinting at a bigger story to come for Asher as the season continues. Sayakajo Maidi Darren Barnett as Dr. John Frost James Washington. Our busiest doctor of the night ends up being Dr. Frost, who seems to get all of the craziest cases. He helps pull a lollipop out of a young boy's ear, then he helps treat a patient and his friends who were bitten by bats. When treating the teens, one flips out and attacks Dr. Frost, biting him in the arm, and we learn he wasn't from the group, but rather was a psych patient who broke out. Frost also helps treat a young baby who is brought in with signs of being cymatic. X-rays eventually show the baby has pneumonia, and that the baby is Sully's son when his girlfriend, Lynn, comes into the ED asking about her son. Ripley discovers that she left her sick baby with a sitter so she could party, and he makes his frustrations known. Speaking of Ripley, he spends Halloween helping to treat a nun who comes to the ED with abdominal pain. which the doctors discover is connected to an unborn fetus from a miscarriage she never knew she had. As his patient awaits surgery, Ripley confides in her that he's angry about losing his friend to cancer and at Lynn for not taking care of their son. Talking through the situation with his patient helps Ripley see through his anger, and he goes to see Lynn, making sure she knows that he's going to be there for her and their son. Don't miss new episodes of Chicago Med Wednesdays at 8/7 on NBC and streaming on Peacock. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our Chicago Ped official channel and stay with us.